So even inside our user info component, we see div with the class name capital A avatar. So that's a clue that that could be another component. Now the avatar isn't even in there anymore. That was a background, but we had to get rid of that to make it work day before yesterday. So let's see what we can do here to make the avatar a component. Make a new file, capital A avatar.js. There's going to be almost nothing in here. It's going to be a very, very simple component. Once again, I don't think this needs any state. Import React from React. Const avatar equals an arrow function. It's going to be an arrow function that'll receive props, so I'll go ahead and put props in parentheses. It's going to return some JSX, and I'm going to export default avatar. So what JSX does it need? Well, just that one div, the class name of avatar. So I'll cut it from here, paste it in here, import it back in user info, import avatar from avatar, /avatar. Throw it on here. I bet the avatar is probably going to need user info in order to, I don't mean user info, I mean the user. It's going to need the user in order to figure out which avatar to display. So I'll put avatar, pass in the user as a prop, and that is props.user here. Inside user info, it's props.user. Right, we're already using it here. So an avatar will receive props, and then somehow I need to get the avatar to actually show up here. But again, I think there is some style specific to this. Now I have avatar right here. So I have a style that's in userinfo.css that probably belongs in here. But let's take a look. There is an avatar.css. So let's just add that stuff real quick. I'll again just say const style here. Paste this stuff in. Let's have a look at that one. Margin right. Okay, that's not there, so let's add it. There we go. Put in multiple cursors, backspace over the semicolons and change them to commas. Quote my values. 40 pixel, 1 rim, 20 pixel, 0.5 rim, all need to be quoted. Font size, border radius, and margin right should all be camel cased. And to actually apply that then, on this div, I need style equals style. I usually call this styles. Styles. All right, style prop just gets this style object. And as long as the CSS is written in JavaScript form, there we go. Now I got a big blank square where that should be. So we just need to get an actual avatar there. So before I copy this thing, let's talk about that. If you look at static.html from the other project, what we had for the avatar was a background with a URL from api.adorable.io. Let's look at adorable.io. Avatars.adorable.io. Adorable avatars. So it's an avatar placeholder service. Doesn't give you a totally random image. It gives you a semi-random image based on the email address you pass in the URL. So that way you get the same one back every time you pass it the same email address. So here you can see the default for abbott@adorable.io. If I change that to davey@fretless.com, I get a different avatar. Change it to dana@fretless.com, I get a different avatar. How big you want it to be? We want it to be as small as they will actually give it to us, 40 pixels. That's as small as they'll do it. Border radius, if you crank that up, you can get it all the way up to a circle if we want. So let's do that. And what I'll do is copy that to clipboard, and then we'll kind of make it generic somehow. So what we could do is add a background to this. Problem is our style object here is already assigned to something. So how do we add a background image to this? We can't do it down here because it needs something that's in one of our props. Our props is what has the email address, right? The user's email address. So we need that information out of there. Now we could totally put this variable inside the component, but this is also a fine opportunity for us to use a new trick. What if we want to combine the styles that we have in this object with a style that we actually write in line here? So the styles prop just expects an object, so we could totally just put an object in here. In which case you would need two sets of curly braces. One to say the following is a JavaScript expression, and one to say this is an object. So I could put background image. Problem is, we really do need this object that's already there. So how about this? If I put double curly braces, and I've got an object inside here. And then suppose I want all of the things that are in this object to be inside that object. It's kind of like making a copy of an object. Spread operator. We know it can make a copy, right? And the reason it can make a copy is because what you're basically doing is breaking apart that object into each of its pieces, and you're just doing it inside a new object literal, which gives you effectively a copy. But what you're really doing is just breaking it apart inside another object, so you could totally put comma and then put other properties inside that object still. So we're making a copy of styles and then adding to it. Again, this thing's called the spread operator. I think this is the third day that we've used it at least. If it's still a little mind-blowing, that's the thing you want to look up, spread operator. Find some little exercises or demos or blog posts or whatever. See if it makes any more sense that way. So we're just assigning this style prop to an object. But instead of just an object that we have stored in a variable, we're actually putting an object in line here. But in addition to actually writing some styles right here, we're going to copy the properties out of another object too. So now I can just put background image. And I'm going to paste this URL in here, which isn't on my clipboard anymore. Is that working? That is not working. Cool. But I don't want to... Oh, come on. You kidding me? That's why I tried to use the button, but the button wasn't working. I don't want daynetfretless.com to be hard-coded in there. I want that to be whatever the user's email is. So instead of that, let's do this. Const URL equals, this is also just too darn long. I'll use backticks, right? So I get a template literal. And then where the email address is, here we go. Let's put $ curly braces. We've got the user being passed in as a prop. So I can say props.user.email. And then down here where I have background image, I'll just put URL. Or avatar URL or something, whatever you want to call it. Image URL. Let's see how that looks. Let's see if it looks like anything. Does not look like anything. Groovy, groovy. Is it there at all? I do not see the background. There's avatar. What's going on here? I don't see it. I see all the rest of my styles though. So this part's working. Oh, yeah. So you have to say, with the background image in CSS, you have to say URL parentheses that URL. So the actual CSS value for a background image is URL parentheses the URL. There we go. Handsome. Throwing this in Slack. So if I want to change this, I'll just go where we hard-coded that that email address. Change it from dave@fretless.com to dave@davestruce.com. Oops. Ahem. Come on, what are you doing? That says dave@davestruce.com, but that looks the same. That's surprising to me. Let's see. Dave@fretless.com. There he is. I think they're just real similar. They're not the same. dave@davestruce.com. Yeah, they just happen to be really, really similar. But they have different eyes. Oh, gosh dang. Are they the same? Different noses? Is it different at all? Okay, that guy's got that nose. No, they're exactly the same. Funny coincidence. But dave@fretless.com was different than dave@getfretless.com. Okay, now we can prove that it's working. It's based on whatever user is in state. Cool. Get it? So, little new trick there. But the avatar component is still pretty simple. It's just one div that just has a little bit of CSS on it. And since we're getting this avatar from an API, we have a little extra trick we're using. Add avatar component.